Hey guys, John Wooten here. I want to welcome you to a very special late night episode of the Stock Market Secrets podcast. Basically, the only time these are ever going to happen is when we're on big ski trips, which, lucky for you, we are on right now. And then there's these two things that I realized, and it all comes down to this idea of the two types of leaders. There are two types of leaders, and that's what I really want to talk to you about today, because if I understood this concept like 2 years ago, I think it would have fundamentally changed the way I looked at growing my companies, looked at managing assets, and most significant, like acquiring clients. It's really, really, really powerful, and I think you can use it to inspire others to join your cause and to get whatever you want in the marketplace achieved. So with that said, I will see you guys after the intro. Have an amazing time. I'll be right back. So the big question is this: how do investors like us, who don't have a PhD in finance or millions to start investing, how do we grow our bank accounts to build real savings and retirements and yet still have the time to do what we really love? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Whew. All right, guys, awesome. I am so pumped. Literally, I feel like I'm about to explode. We had, just the craziest day of ski, the craziest night of activity. It was just, oh my gosh, insane. But I was watching, these movies. You guys know me. I'm on my movie speed. It's phenomenal. I'm loving it. And I just realized that there's these two type of leader. Now, the first type of leader is the person who rules by force, the person who leads by fear, and the person who, instead of being aligned with those that are in their movement or in their community or in their mastermind or in their business, the first kind of leader is the one who forces others to align with them, that forces them to work. These are the slave masters. These are the people that don't invest the time, the energy, or the emotional capital to give it their all and really create a sustainable relationship with the people that they're working with. And instead, they rule by fear. They rule by force. And the fear that they give off, you guys might know someone like this. I remember kind of my old bosses. I would always have this threat of you're going to get fired, or you're going to get messed up, you're going to have to stay late or something. And when you rule by fear, it just doesn't work. And in a vast majority of situations, we'll get to this in just a sec, but usually the followers, the group, the community that gets led by fear will eventually turn against the leader. Now, the second type of leadership, and this is the most powerful type of leadership, is leadership by loyalty. This is the kind of leadership where you inspire others to join you, where you show them the potential of your business. You show them the potential of your mastermind. You show them all the amazing benefits and upsides and powerful actions you can take as a group. And by showing them that future vision, you inspire them to work towards that overarching long-term goal. These are the kind of followers that will stay up freaking, oh my God, I have this one co-founder. He's absolutely amazing. He stays up 18 hours to get working on MVP, and he's just phenomenal. Why? It's because you're leading by loyalty. You're inspiring a group and a team to come around you. And I remember, so when I first started out with the company, with my parents, I wasn't really leading by loyalty, and instead I was leading really just by fear of contract, right? And fear that, you get fired or blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't intentionally trying to do it just a long time ago, and I didn't really understand human relations, and it was just an awful result. And honestly, the coders from that initial run of the company for the first year, they all left. They stopped working, they stopped putting in the hours, they stopped trying because they weren't inspired. Yet similarly, now I'm applying this concept, and I'm working super hard to inspire my team and show them the future vision we're going towards and give them a ton of value. I'm literally giving them full courses that I've created that I sell for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And I'm sharing it with them, saying, look, this would really, really help you. I appreciate your situation. I'm asking them, understanding where they're coming from, understanding the family, understanding the community that they're in. Because even if they're halfway across the world, which some of them are, it's worth so much more long term. Now, let me give you an example that's really, really powerful. Watching, I don't remember which one it was. It's one of the Fast and the Furious movies. And there's this girl, and she's I think it's the sixth, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the seventh one. And she's the hacker girl. I think it was probably the sixth one. Or maybe it's the fifth one. Gosh, I don't remember. She was this hacker girl, and she created this program. And if you guys have seen it, the program basically hacked into everybody's phones on the planet, all security cameras on the planet, and it allowed you to use all these cameras around the world to find anybody within 15 or 20 seconds. And she called it God's Eye. And so she made this program, and there's these evil guys in the movie that were trying basically to capture her and to steal, her her coding skills and have her turn against her and use her program for evil to kill, some really, really good people. And it was just evil guy, right? And so they kidnap this girl, and they've got her in this, like, giant truck. I mean, it's just insane. It's like a flatbed, and then instead of, like, a cargo box on it, it's like a mobile, like, tour bus. But the tour bus, it's not just like this tour bus with windows and glass everywhere. And instead, it's like a tour bus, but it's made like a tank. And it's on 4 wheels, or 8 wheels. But it's like this giant tank. And so these guys, they have to catch them before they get into this, out of the country, into Moscow, something like that, into this magic tunnel. And they're on the side of this cliff, and they have no way to stealthily attack them. So they fly, they get a huge aircraft, cargo carrier. And in the cargo carrier, they load all the cars, and everyone gets in cars, and they drive out of the back of this plane at like 7,000 feet. And they parachute down to where these guys are taking this girl so that they can surprise them. And then there's this whole huge gunfight. It's insane how they land, and oh man, so powerful. But basically what happens is they kill all the escort people, and they kill a bunch of the bad guys. This huge fight scene, and everyone has to work to save this girl, and they save this girl, and then they save everybody on the team. And then they have this big chase, and everyone goes away. But at the end, they calm down, and they sit with this girl, this hacker girl, who they have never met in their entire life. She doesn't know who they are. They don't know who she is. And it's like probably 5-6 of these guys who are on the team that's here to help rescue this girl. And they sit her down in this chair, and she's sitting on this lake, on this dock, and there's like this wooden dock. Looks like it was made like in the 1950s, and it's got like these huge arcs on top. And there's this giant, beautiful, stunning lake surrounded by mountains. They're in the middle of just a phenomenal wilderness area. And she sits down in this peaceful, tranquil state. And she leans up against one of the wooden posts. It was like an amber brown wooden post, and it was one of the side railings on the dock. And she leans up against it on this bench. And I think it was The Rock, who was like, in the movie, is the main actor, or I guess there's a bunch of main actors. And he says, "Hey, where is this program? Where is God's Eye?" And without a moment of hesitation, this lady says, "Oh, I gave it to my friend. It's in, Abu Dhabi." And he's like, "Whoa, what the heck?" Because if the bad guys, right, if they would have asked her that question, they'd had to torture her for 20, 30, 40 minutes, hours. They had to torture her and hurt her to get that same information out. And yet she willingly shares it with the Fast and the Furious guys. And this guy's like, "Holy crap, I can't believe you did that. That's huge. This program literally could change what's worth, tens, hundreds, trillions." And he says, "Well, why'd you tell us that so quickly?" And she says she can tell that they lead by loyalty and not by fear, because the people that had kidnapped her, they were leading by fear. The people that had kidnapped her, they were forcing her to go with them instead of inspiring her to join their team, because they had this really, really evil, plan and mean motives. And all the people that were on this big tank and that were following this tank in trucks trying to protect this escort, everyone was there not because they were inspired to try to kill off these good guys who were trying to save this girl, trying to save this hostage, but instead because they were forced to be there. They were held up. They were, their families were taken in hostage. And instead of being ruled by loyalty and generosity, they were ruled by scarcity, fear, negative energy, negative emotions. And then she contrasts that with, the Fast and the Furious guys. And she can see that they are led not by fear, but by loyalty. And they stick together. One of the biggest concepts in the movie is how the main characters are all part of a big family. And she can see that they're not forced to be with one another, but instead they desire, they have an urge, they have an yearning want to be with each other. And because of that, they can achieve so much more than a team that's forced to do things. Because when you're forced to do something, when you think it's a chore, when you think it's awful, what happens? You perform worse. But when you're inspired to do more, to be more, and to achieve, there's one guy, Don, and he gets surrounded by a bunch of these evil guys. He's at like the peak of a cliff, all right? And, behind him is just this huge, massive drop. And it's this giant cliff in the middle of like this deserty area and these mountains. And in front of him are like 20 guys. They all surround him with their cars. And they're basically covering all the exits that he could have off this cliff. And they're all pointing like these giant machine guns at him. And this one evil guy stands out and he jumps off his car and he says, "Give me the girl," or "Give me whatever." And there's this big fight scene that goes down mentally, right? Where they're like tension, big amount of tension. It's like, what's he gonna do? He has no escape. And in that moment, he puts the car in reverse, flips it around, and he drives straight off a cliff with the girl, with the information, with the intel. And he went and did something absolutely freaking berserk that not a single man on that bad guy's team would do. Why? Because he was inspired to do more and be more. And then he has this roll cage he put on his car, and he rolls down the hill, and he's safe, and all of his friends come to unite with him. And they take him out of there, and they escape. And they succeed because they were a unit led by unison, led by a collective loyal mastermind, not by fear. The people that led by fear, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, basically this big evil guy, all of his men get killed, and none of them have like this urge to serve him. And then he's in this giant helicopter, and his helicopter explodes, and he dies. He loses. Why? Because he was leading by fear. He didn't have a quality team that was there to outperform because they weren't inspired. Now, guys, I literally feel like I'm about to explode. I have this crazy, like, I rolled over my ankle today, which is okay. I've been icing it. I've probably done about 2 hours of icing, intermittently with 15 minutes on and 45 minutes off. Watching, just having some fun. Went to dinner with, But I want to squeeze in one more story for you guys, because this one concept of the two types of leaders is so powerful. And I ask you that if you get a ton of value out of this episode, that you share it with someone that you know that could really change the lives of a lot of people by acting as a leader, by creating a community, by creating a group. So with that said, here's the second example, okay? So much Indiana Jones, and I think it was like the Lost Temple, or the Temple of Doom, and there's this scene where they sort of, Indiana Jones, he's with this girl and this kid, and they're like sneaking into this Temple of Doom. And in the temple, they find like hundreds of these guys, and they're worshiping the devil or some kind of form of the devil. And they're like literally burning people alive and killing them to sacrifice their god. And then, he goes and he looks and he investigates and he finds that they've stolen like hundreds of kids from a local village that are like 6, 7, 8 years old. They look like skin and bone. I mean, it's so sad. The missing teeth, they're just like all these African kids, and they have been enslaved. They're in chains, they're in cuffs, and they all have shaved heads after the woman. They have short hair, and they're just trapped in this giant cave, mining so that they can find these 2 gems that they're looking for underneath in this cave. And he realizes that these guys are being forced to work. They're being forced to mine. They're being forced by literally people whipping them. There's like tens, maybe dozens of these guys that are just constantly in this big mine whipping these kids, forcing them to mine as a slave labor force. Instead of even for a moment just asking, hey, would you like to come mine in our thing? We'll pay you whatever. Like, there would probably be a ton of people that would gladly do that if they shared, hey, our end result, our end goal here is that we want to capture this 1 stone thing, and it's really 2 stone things. If you just share that with people, a lot of people will align with your goal, and they'll say, sure, I'll come for you. Be on your team, be on your energy, be on your effort. And they will work so much better than these kids who are being forced to work. They're literally just like chucking stone. They have like these pickaxes, and they're just picking at the same spot over and over again, and like barely tapping the rock with their hands because they aren't inspired to be there. They're being forced there. They're literally like starving to death and being whipped and almost killed so they could work in this big underground cavern. And what happens is so phenomenal, so bizarre, because this is leadership by fear, right? And Indy, on the other hand, he's got this team, he's got this girl that he just met at the beginning of the movie, and this kid that's been on his team for years. And the reason they're with him is because they're inspired, they're loyal, and they want to stick with him. And do a couple extra things, too, for the woman. But the most important thing is what happens next. So these guys start a massive fight, a huge result, giant revolution, and they kill like all the leaders of the tribe, and they're like sacrificing people to the devil and doing all this evil stuff in the Temple of Doom. And then they cut all these kids free. They steal all the keys. They beat up all the guards, and they let them escape. They let them escape from these cufflings. And then here's the most important part, okay? As soon as these kids are free, the first thing they do is not run out into freedom, run out into safety, and escape this hellhole that they're in. The first thing that they do is they turn around and they join Indiana Jones' cause. And they start fighting and throwing rocks at these guards and punching them and tackling them. 50 kids on a guard over and over again because they've been inspired to work with him. And they're finally free of a fear-based leadership. And the instant that happens, you have revolt, you have change, you have shift. Almost every single one of these evil guys gets killed, eaten by alligators, shot. I mean, it's a pretty intense movie. They die on these mine carts. It was kind of insane. Why? Because they had years and years and years of built up negativity, built up fear-based leadership, and that fear-based leadership will fail. It will not sustain, and it shall not get you to the end goal, the end result that you desire, because you're never going to have the full dedication of the people that are on your team. And even if you get a little sliver of success, it's absolutely nothing compared to the amount of impact you could have if you spent that same amount of time inspiring just one or two people to come join your team, and then they inspire one or two other people to join your team. I have some commission-based salespeople that are absolutely phenomenal at Magnetize, and I can't wait till we get MVP and then start selling. It's going to be amazing. And some of the tightest connections that I have with the top salespeople are the ones that I've met and talked with and mentored with and shared experiences with and had literally hours and hours and hours of conversation with over a period of months before they ever came on. Because before they were in the client, before they were in the company, before they were with clients, they were aligned with vision. They were aligned with goals. They were aligned with outcomes. They could see where the company, where the business, where everyone was going. And as soon as they saw that, it's a question of, are they going to align with goal? Like, I don't just hire anybody that I find because a lot of people aren't aligned with that goal. But some of these, top performers, they're there and they're excelling because they are loyal to the cause, loyal to the mission. And that's where you're going to have the most powerful impact. We talk about Indiana Jones and this girl and this kid that he's got on his team. They're literally risking their lives, throwing rocks at people with machetes and trying to tackle little devil kids that have these needles where they can stab him. He's 6 years old. 8, maybe he's 9, I don't know. And why are they risking their lives? Why are they literally throwing themselves in front of death and danger when they don't have to, when they could just run away and escape and be free? It's because they're being led by loyalty. Now, I'm going to give you guys a special bonus, and then I'm going to pass out because, oh my gosh, I cannot, oh man, my head, my leg, it's going to be phenomenal. Tomorrow's going to be amazing. Picture days tomorrow, too, which is exciting. We're getting everybody together. It's a couple hundred people. It's going to be so fun. So one last example from Spider-Man 3. And in Spider-Man 3, at the end of the movie, he's got this... It's like the introduction of Venom and the evil, negative energy that takes over Spider-Man, turns him into this black guy, and he's super mean, and he punches out his girlfriend, and he almost kills one of his best friends. And this best friend that he almost kills in this rage-filled fight, half of his face is blown to bits, blown to smithereens. It's awful. And then the Spider-Man, he finds a way to escape this venom and escape this poison, and escape this negative energy. And he goes back to being himself, and he goes back to helping others. And he raises his hand. He does the most powerful thing you can do. Today I had to raise my hand. I had this rolled ankle, so I needed some medical tape. So I raised my hand. I skied up to the ski patrol guys and said, "Hey, do you guys have medical tape?" And they were basically helping two guys. One guy had a broken leg. One guy was freezing to death. It was insane. I'm so sad for them. It was hard. People really get messed up skiing, and I feel so bad about it. And he basically, I asked for help. Basically said, no, sorry, go to Walgreens. So that was kind of what happened, and they got a bunch of ice and stuff. Why, though? Because I raised my hand and asked for help. So what Spider-Man does here is he raises his hand, and he asks for help, and he goes to this guy who he almost kills. And he says, look, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Everything I did was awful to you. Will you please join my cause? Save, my girlfriend and defeat these two enemies, Sandman and the new Venom. And he says, no. And so Spider-Man does the most powerful thing that you can do. He's willing to walk away and to leave the deal. And he walks away and he goes off to fight these two guys, try to save his girlfriend and save, New York or whatever. And like halfway through this fight, he's being destroyed by these two enemies, crushed by them. And honestly, they are about to like basically kill him. They're slamming him down against this metal post. And Venom's holding his neck down, like strangling him, while Sandman punches him over and over again with this giant fist into this massive building, over and over against the steel beam. And then out of nowhere comes Spider-Man's friend, comes Peter's friend. And he was inspired on his own, at his own will, by the loyalty and the generosity and the care that Spider-Man showed. And he comes in and he saves his butt. He stops these guys from basically strangling and killing him. And then there's this massive fight scene where they kill Venom, or they try to they explode his face, and they have this huge fight scene. But before they kill Venom, this friend of Spider-Man, he has this board, and this board has like spikes on the end of it. And so he throws a spiky board at Venom. And Venom kind of catches it. And he turns around and he chucks this death missile at Spider-Man. And this board is about to cut through his throat and kill him. And here is where the power of loyalty-based leadership shows. Because instead of just standing there and doing absolutely nothing, which he was totally merited to do, this friend of Spider-Man's jumps from the sidelines in front of Spider-Man. He takes these two massive spears right through his torso. And he falls over. And he dies. Why? Because he was inspired by a movement, and by a person that led that movement and led that friendship, that had an image for the future that was so much greater than one single person. He was willing to sacrifice his life because he was inspired by the loyalty of the bond and of the mission that they had as a team. Then Spider-Man goes on, he kills everybody except for Sandman. So here's what happens with Sandman. Sandman steps down, he looks at Spider-Man, he says, "Look, I'm sorry. I've been inspired by what you're doing here. And I don't want to fight people. I just want to help my daughter. My daughter has this critical illness. I just need money to save her. That's why I was robbing this bank." And he says, "Look, I'm done. I don't want to fight you." And honestly, I don't know if Spider-Man could have beat him. It's like he's a pretty freaking powerful guy. He just like turns into sand. You can't really like kill sand. I don't know. And he was inspired by the loyalty that Spider-Man had inspired in his friend. He was inspired by the loyalty that Spider-Man had to his girlfriend to literally risk his life countless times to save her from this giant building where she was hung up on. And he says, "You are a good person, and I am so sorry that I killed your grandpa. And it was an accident. I did not mean to kill your grandpa. And I'm not asking for your forgiveness, but I'm asking for you to understand." And then Spider-Man forgives him, and he fades away into dust and flies off into the night. He doesn't fight him. Why doesn't he fight him? He doesn't fight him because he was inspired by the loyalty created by his relationship. He was inspired by the loyalty created by him. Because when you lead with loyalty, you can literally change the course of history. You can alter others' lives to an extent that no one can do with force. No one can do with excess power, and no one can do on their own, because it's all about the collective group movement, inspiring others to join you, and then having that compound into more and more and more individuals on your team. That's the goal. That's the mission. All you need are a couple true raving fans. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you got a ton of value from it. Go out there, apply it. Lead by loyalty, not by fear. And if you're being led by fear, share this with somebody. Share this with your boss and let them know. Look, what you're doing is hurting not just you, but the group of people around you, the whole workforce. Because negative energy and leadership by fear is destructive, and it's a poison, and it's awful. And instead, you must come away from this and inspire others to stand beside you and lead by loyalty. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Have an awesome time. Thanks. Bye. Want more stock market secrets? If so, you'll get your free copy of my best-selling book, 9 to Noon. You get your free copy plus $11,176 of unannounced bonuses. It took me years to uncover, completely for free at 9tonoonsecrets.com. Inside 9 to Noon, you'll find the top 38 secrets you can use to double your portfolio every 2 years and make upwards of 10% daily.